Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our February 16th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Here.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 2nd. Any additions or corrections?
No changes. I recommend that we approve the minutes of regular meeting February 2nd.
Support.
Motion made by George, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2015-03 in the amount of $416,600.16. Dr. Hayes.
I didn't have a chance to review the manifest. I have no questions.
Lee.
Just one little question here. I'm sure it's a typo. Page 7, under electric utility fund, 100 pounds of corn, $50, and right under it's another 100 pounds of corn for $30.
That is a typo, but the corn is correct.
Oh, okay. Just-
Yeah, the quantities and prices are wrong, but we did buy corn, we use it to,
I understand, yeah, I understand what you use it for. Just
Yeah.
that kind of jumped out at me where they're side by side there and there's $20 difference.
They just didn't add the quantity, number of bags.
the number of the bags.
They're 100-pound bags. It just
Yeah.
didn't-
Okay, no problem. That's all I have.
Hey, George.
We got a deer feeding program going on, Joe?
Raccoons.
I only got one question back on number 10, page 10. And it's more of what it is, not the price or anything. Utility heater pump building. That tech monitor claim transducer.
The touch monitor.
Yeah, okay, the transducer. No, that's a 19-inch touchscreen computer. It was an insurance claim.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
all
what
I
it
have.
is.
Chris.
Question on page 5, under the cable. Packland broadband, there's two charges I haven't noticed before, monthly VoIP process fee and IP trunking fee.
Do we
Yeah, I
have an
don't
idea on those, Joe?
I don't recall seeing them before either, so let me check on it, Chris, and get back to you, all right?
That's all I had.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. And with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve manifest 2015-03 in the amount of $416,600.16.
Oh, I got one thing. Trish, that Spring Valley Ranch payment, $1,259.30. Check to pay that. That's the only, otherwise I'll approve second Chris's motion.
Okay, motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. If not, there'll be a time for further comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay, seeing none. First thing this evening is approval agreement for participating in WPPI Member Service Program North Star Billing Software. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the previous meeting, we brought this forward, and there had some questions, so we tabled this until we could answer those questions. Those questions center around the monthly or the maintenance, annual maintenance fee. And we did find out, or get an answer for you on that. The annual maintenance fee for this program will be roughly $10,000, and it'll be paid on a monthly basis. The way that it's calculated is based on, there's a total amount that WPPI pays for the maintenance, and then it's calculated through on a proportional basis amongst the members that are participating. So as more members participate, those fees will go down as they're spread across more members. I did have that added into the agreement under, let's see, what section was that? Okay, that would be under Section 2, Responsibilities of the agreement. So I guess we should just open it up and field any questions at this time. So we had some we had explained it at our previous meeting, so if you have any questions specific, Mary and I and Joe can try and answer those.
It's not really questions, more comments on it. I have a lot of issues with this because we're spending $44,500 and then over a 10-year period, and then we're gonna spend about $100,000 in maintenance. And at the end of this time, we're not actually gonna own anything. We're essentially renting an app for $150,000 over 10 years. I have a lot of issues with that because we're not gonna have anything when it's done. Except, like I said, except for an app. That's an expensive app. So I have a lot of issues with that.
Well, I gotta agree with you, Jeremy, but my question here is, where we recognize that the maintenance fees are higher than we normally have experienced. Well, what have we normally been paying on this for the support agreement, whatever?
Well, we typically pay roughly $1,000 a year for billing, utility billing. But this particular program is a much larger, more expansive program, than just our normal utility billing. So that's
Substantially higher.
It's substantially higher, and the program itself is substantially larger and more expensive. So, we've had many conversations with them about the cost of maintenance as being a big issue. But,
Well, I come up with $1,213 a month. That's for this program. That's, I don't know what our savings are gonna be on that. I realize there will be some labor savings.
Is that going to reduce any, not reduce any staff in here, but reduce the workload in the
Well-
app or the staff here, Joe?
When you talk about the North Star product, you have to also talk about that in the concept of your whole automated meter reading process too, because they go hand in hand.
Right.
And then, on top of that, you also have to add in, there's many components to this. The things that you want to do as a city council, some of the goals that I was told that we would like to do, like innovative billing, time of use billing for our customers down the road, bill paying, having web access with a web portal for a customer so they could go in and look at it that has all this stuff in it. All the things that you get with, say, if you were a purchaser of We Energy's power, we would be the same type stuff we could do. Without it, we can't do those things. This has been a program we've talked about for, must be close to 2 years now, on and off, moving forward with it. So it was my understanding that we wanted to go in this direction to offer these things, and this is the first piece of the puzzle is this piece.
How many other parties or communities are on this already, Joe? Are there?
How many WPPI members are on North Star?
Yeah.
25.
Involved in this program?
25 members.
Pardon?
25 members
So
are on North Star.
out of?
Out of 53,
So half?
half
Okay.
Yeah, in the Upper Peninsula, Negaunee, Crystal Falls, and Gladstone are already on it. And there's many, Florence has been using it for 20 years already. Now, it's one of their better programs that they have at WPPI, in my opinion, so. It's a total billing system. It does many more things than that. It also has work order processes and different things in it that are a lot more user-friendly than what we currently have with the BSNA program.
I guess, if there's concerns, is
Yeah.
this going to save us anything in the long run? Is it going to
To-
save us at
to
the
sit
present
here-
time? Is it going to save us
to-
lots down the
yeah.
road?
To tell you that it's going to save you X amount of dollars 5 years from now, I can't do that, George, because there's really not a number to put on it. Once the whole program is put together, and we're talking about the girls reading meters from the computer versus sending a guy out to read the meter,
No,
you're saving truck time, you're saving fuel, wear and tear, and that person can be doing other things besides running around getting reads.
I agree with you
So,
100%, Joe.
We're not going to reduce, I don't believe you're going to see a reduction in staff number, because we're pretty lean already,
Yeah.
But I think you'll see a savings because of the efficiencies we're going to gain by going to this.
My number one concern, and that was my first question, how many people are on this in
Yeah.
WPPI?
Yep.
Is, and I think Ray has known this happened to us how many times since I've been on council. We're always the first half a dozen that get into these programs and join it.
No.
And a number of years down the road, it seems like, boy, now all of a sudden, everybody's involved in these programs, and these programs, they're getting offered for nothing. And all the while, we've had, been paying to the nose to be in these things. So that was my main concern.
Let me address the $25,000 grant. When I was on the executive committee at WPPI, there was an effort to try to get all of the members on one of their billing systems for consistency. One of the drivers for doing that is if you go to an AMI system, which is the goal of all the WPPI members, to be on an AMI system, and they're going to do it gradually over time as they can afford to do it. All that data that is collected from all the meters goes into a main computer at WPPI, and they're able to look at all of the loads, electric loads, across all of their customer base, and it allows them to buy and sell power more economically, which will save money, which in turn saves the rates to us.
Joe,
So,
for the
yeah.
public, could you say what an AMI system is? Just-
Automated meter infrastructure, AMI.
I know what it was, but
Yep,
just for the
that's,
public.
that's fine. I can get caught up in the acronyms. It's, so what happens is all the data from everybody that's using it goes into this main computer, and they look at when people are using their power and how, they don't know how you use it, they just know that this city used so much power. And they look at all their communities, and then they can make a formula to buy and sell power more reasonably and make smarter decisions down there, which saves purchase power monies, and then it makes smart decisions on whether to buy another power plant, build one, or just buy into one, do whatever, and then those savings get passed along to us, along with the efficiencies of running our own operation by having a automated meter infrastructure. So,
I guess the only other question that I've got, and Joe, if we get into this program now, down the road with being a member of WPPI and getting involved more and more, are some of these programs going to be phased out to say, to a point where they're going to make their customers, force their customers into doing some of this stuff, whether you want to or not?
no, WPPI will never force anybody to do anything. They are there to offer a service that if we feel we can take advantage of, then do it. but they're not here to tell you how to run your
Well,
business.
that was just
You know,
my concern.
They offer things, and you can take advantage of them, and if they make sense for your community, then by all means do it. But if you're don't want to do it, then don't. You know, the automated meter infrastructure is a program, a metering programs that are moving forward throughout the whole electrical power industry. Everything is going in that direction.
Do you have a ballpark for what the cost for the city would be to convert all the meters to automated?
Yes, I do. I have two prices that I've completed now, and it's going to be in that $680,000 range by the time it's all done, and 700-ish, just say $700,000 to do everything. That would be water and electric.
Okay. At some point, and Ray, maybe you'd probably be qualified to answer this, maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. Like you're saying, you're going to be changing water and electric. Can the water department afford it?
Right now, no, they can't. They don't have to do it right away.
Then the whole thing turns over, put on your shoulders, Joe, and say, okay, now how are we going to get our money back again?
They can't afford it right now, George. They
No,
can't,
I mean,
they can't afford it down the road. We just had that bad winter last year, that's why
Yeah.
they can't. We started this process and working through this process before last winter's bad winter, and started the ball rolling and getting numbers and working out with vendors and talking to everybody. I just finished it up about 2 months ago, something like that. I can move forward and get all the electric infrastructure done. And then the electric utility will be completed or near complete. And the water department will come in as I can afford to purchase meters and have them put in at a rate that will not hurt them
There are
or the city.
two factors in dealing with the water fund. First is recovering from last winter. And, you know, I'm working with Senator Casperson's office on trying to recover from a claim that we put in. That's going to be timing, whether it's something that happened here shortly, or it may have to go all the way to the fall when they have a new legislative session. But you know, he's working hard at you know, bringing us back, trying to get us recovered for some of that money. So that's a timing issue. The second is when we looked at, especially on the water side, you know, there are key meters that we will start with. So, you know, there's no need to go and try and address this all at once. I mean, so, you know, we're going to be able to step this in, you know, as we.
Yeah, Ray, I mean, I'm looking down the road, I'm looking way down the road, and I'm looking at stuff that's gonna be coming up this year. You know, when we get this, new, down on Brown Street there, the, sewage section, and that big expansion done, and we come up to start, okay, now how are we gonna pay for this, and where are our rates gonna go? And we put this out in the public, well, Jesus, we're gonna have to raise our rates in order to meet this. I mean, it's a known factor, we're gonna have to do this. But then but also, we're doing stuff that we don't really have to again. And just like this, like Joe said, now we're gonna, they can't afford the water part and can't afford to pay for it, but we're gonna do this on a time material down the road. Well, why? I mean, if I'm conservative and I don't have a lot of money to go out and waste and pay all these extra bills, you know, instead of the light department putting their money to help the water department, why don't you help us help the public out here and reduce our rates instead? I mean, I'm looking at stuff that's down and the questions that are, the feedback that's gonna come back. You know, what are you doing to help us out instead of just raising the rates?
Right. Well, you know, and I appreciate that. you know, we're not out looking to try and raise anybody's rates unnecessarily.
No, but I mean, we know,
Right.
we all know it's a factor, and
Right.
it's gonna have to happen. I mean,
And,
it's-
you know, we're looking at what type of activities need to happen down the road for our utility, you know, to make necessary improvements to utility. The water department, the water fund, as far as the meters go, was a carry-along with the initial discussion was on the electric side. So, you know, they were carrying along with that discussion because we can do it. We don't have to do it with the water. We can do it with the
Well,
water.
that's
You know,
right.
that's kind of the point. You don't have to do anything with the water until you feel comfortable in doing it. But, yeah, like Joe mentioned, I mean, we started this conversation almost 2 years ago.
No, I
You
know
and
that.
so there's some factors that make this more complicated today. But as far as, you know, trying to push something that we can't afford, obviously, we're not gonna do that.
No.
And, you know, but we do have to look down the road. I mean, I'm looking down, years down the road as far as, you know, where the fund health is going to be. Part of the reason why our water fund has been so healthy and strong, and part of the reason why our rates are where they're at, and I know that you can get an argument, somebody saying that the rates are high, but when you look at comparatively speaking to communities that haven't put any money into their infrastructure over the years, our rates are actually on the lower end, you know, in that bottom 50 percentile. The councils in the past have done a good job of upgrading the water fund, upgrading the water system. I mean, it's a strong, healthy system. So a recovery in the water fund is gonna happen. I'm not really too worried about that. I think that, you know, we're working with this issue from last winter. I mean, that was a major hit, and we're gonna come out of that.
We also have to look at the losing multicolor. That's gonna be a big hit to our water fund.
Yes, Jeremy, I understand that. And we are, you know, we're not prepared to go through a full budget analysis with you now tonight. We understand that. But overall, your water system is a very good water system. And yes, there may be adjustments that are gonna have to be made. We understand that. And we will get into, in budget hearings, we will get into a full budget analysis of where we're going without a major user like multicolor. But trust us, we know that's coming. So, you know, the point I think to make with George's comment is the water meters are a carry-along, and they can be programmed in when time is right.
Yeah.
So,
There's one more, I think, key factor to take away from this conversation right now, is that every year you ask me to do a budget and do a 5-year projected budget, and I do that. I have all this in the current budget and the current rates for the electric utility to do this program. It's in there already, in the current rate structure. There's no changes.
No, Joe.
Yep, but I thought that was a real key point to make.
I'm just asking questions
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
I understand.
For no reason whatsoever, just things that I can foresee, okay, you know, what if this might
Yep.
happen, what if that?
Yep, and I had it in the water department also until the last winter, little hiccup. Otherwise, we'd have been cruising right along.
Just,
So.
okay, Ray, not a train, how are our wells doing? You had mentioned that we're in good shape down here. I know 3, and you don't have to answer this if it's in one of your reports. Here, number 3 years ago, when that shaft dropped or the casing dropped, we had some problems.
yeah, I think structurally, the wells are in very good shape.
Okay.
You know, the reports I've been seeing. Where we were at the last couple of years, at least up until this past year, was that the DEQ had some concerns about what they call firm capacity. And when the wells were developed, we put a test well, a 6-inch casing test well, and used it as a production well. And so our flows and our capacity flows were a little out of proportion for what the DEQ was comfortable with in this firm capacity calculation that they use. It's really what it is, comes down to fire flows. If you take the worst case scenarios, you know, will it be able to keep up? And so what they requested was that in our upcoming project, that we take the 6-inch test well and either we re-drill that into a 12-inch casing, or that we consider another well, you know, another 12-inch well. Not that the system right now is incapable of handling our water needs, because it's keeping up. Now, again, this goes back to a comment Jeremy made, is that now that one of our major users, Multicolor, is not in that equation, that may change their requirement on that.
Okay.
In a different way, you know? So there's some factors that, you know, we haven't been able to fully evaluate yet. One of the reasons why, from a budget standpoint, we haven't got to the point of having that overall conversation is because we've been waiting to see if the state was going to come up here shortly and provide us with the funds that we lost last year.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. If we have to wait till the fall, we're gonna have to make some adjustments. And I'll know that by the time we get into budget hearings. I'm still waiting on them today, you know, so.
Did I read in here someplace where it said as more people join WPPI, our rates would go down? Like say another 10 people from WPPI jump onto this program?
The rate, the maintenance rate will decrease the more people come on, because they have, I believe it's 4 staff members at WPPI that are, because there's 25 already on it, that's their job. And their wages and benefits and all the computer lab and everything that they do goes against the program. So as more people come on, you divide those same amount of people up with more people, and then it drops the maintenance rate. Yes, that is a correct statement.
Do they think they'll be able to maintain just the 4, or will they have to go as they get, if they go to 40, are they gonna need another staff member, or? Has there been any
There
discussion?
hasn't been a conversation about that, Jeremy. I'd be hesitant to,
Right.
make an assumption on
I
that.
didn't know if there had been a conversation on it.
no, no.
Has there been any discussion with other members of WPPI whether the ones who have joined this program are happy with it?
They're extremely happy with it. Glad, Mary, she can answer
I
that.
went down to Gladstone just to see it, to see the program, and met with the utility billing clerk, and they're very happy with it.
So other members of WPPI are pleased with this program?
Yes.
Joe, Jeremy brought up a point of the cost and the initial cost, and that we're having a very expensive app. I seem to remember a conversation that we had with WPPI and Mary, you know, we had where it wasn't, when we looked at the cost of the program and we started really getting into it, that there were costs that weren't hardware related. And especially when we were talking with Miller Canfield in our whole funding question. Do you remember those conversations? There was some costs, upfront costs that they were recovering because of, especially some communities like Kiwani or Kokana and some of the other larger communities had already invested. Was it, you remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah, but I can't put a number, I
seem
can't
to
put a
remember them
number on
saying
it
we
for
were
you.
buying into the program to
Yeah.
recover some of those costs.
There, before the big AMI discussion and the MDM is the meter management data system that is housed at WPPI that watches all this stuff, and there were about 18 or so members that were on this program. And it was not subsidized by WPPI. They paid the full upfront cost. And because WPPI felt that it was a really good program and the benefits to this program multiply to its members through savings down the road, we decided to offer a $25,000 grant to try, as an incentive, to try to get communities to come buy into this program. That's why you're seeing a $25,000 grant from WPPI to do this right now. And last year they talked about doing away with it, They had offered it for 4 years. They got another 6, 7 members on it. And then through the discussions, it was decided not to do away with it, that they would keep the $25,000 grant available for right now.
But isn't the initial upfront cost recovering
It's
hundreds of thousands of dollars of
It's
investment?
recovering some cost, yes, but I can't put a number on it for you. I don't remember what that is. But I remember a conversation about that there was an upfront cost for WPPI to get this program in place for its members.
So I
And
think
they
it'd
all
be-
had to buy in on that.
I think it'd be fair to say then that if we're buying into the upfront, or these upfront costs are actually buying into the, their development costs with the hardware and the software, because I believe they have hardware costs as well, with the size of this program.
Yeah, I would say
That
that's
we're
a fair
probably buying
assumption.
into the system, so we actually probably, it would be fair to say that
Yeah.
you would own a percentage of the hardware
Well-
and software.
Also, with that said, and some of the concerns that I see from different areas, we're used to having a power supplier, and we just buy power from those folks. That's not what WPPI is about. As a member, you're actually part owner of WPPI. So, that's how it's set up. You have a voice, you can have people on the board of directors, you can do things. You can't do that when you're just buying power from somebody. So they consider us owner members. So I would say that all you're gonna get is a fancy app. No, it's buy-in to the whole program, in my opinion.
I've got 3 questions, and so Mary, would you say that you strongly endorse this program?
Yes, I would. Especially if we want to go in the direction we've talked about going with everything. We've got to have the software in place to be able to do it.
My second question is, Joe, do you strongly endorse this program?
Yes, I do.
And my third question is, Ray, do you strongly endorse this program?
I do endorse it.
Well, I can certainly see the advantages of it, and so I think we should proceed, my own opinion.
Well, if you feel that way, then you should make a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement participating in the WPPI member service program, the North Star billing software.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes?
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval, financial and administrative software upgrade BSNA. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is one that we tabled from a previous meeting to answer questions concerning the QSL database, and also I looked into the hardware requirements. We took and researched both of those questions, and we found out that we do not need to purchase an upgrade on a QSL server. We can or the SQL database, that we can use the free version. And also that at this point our hardware does support the upgrade, but we are also evaluating our current network, and we'll bring that up in budget hearings. We won't need to upgrade our network based on this program, but there might be some other factors that we may need to review that.
Chris, you had the strongest understanding of this and the most questions on it. Have your questions been answered?
Yes, I have.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion. Anybody want to make a motion? Up or down?
I don't know that much about it. I'll support it, but I don't want to make a motion on it.
Is there anybody want to?
Get back my page, I'll make a motion.
Come on, Chris.
I'll make a motion, we approve the financial administrative software upgrade for BSNA. For whatever the amount is.
Motion, $10,830.
$10,800.
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
No.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
That's why these fancy papers instead of those old tablets keep track of things.
I'll blame user error on this one.
Next on the agenda, approval, bill print outsourcing info send. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of our discussions over the last year, you know, we've talked about looking into a system where we would send a file, we'd get our billing all wrapped up into a file, and then we would send that file out for, basically for just printing and sending. You know, we've had numerous conversations about this, and now with moving forward with the North Star, they had recommended we look at this InfoSend Incorporated, handles a lot of the communities through WPPI for doing just this. Mary, you had looked at InfoSend. I don't know if you want to give some more specific details in your review.
Well, we did provide you with our estimate right now, or our average right now for, just for postage is just under $1,000 a month. You can see their proposal is, and this is an estimate based on the number of bills, but their estimate was $1,154 a month, which is obviously more expensive, but that includes paper. We won't be buying our bills. It includes envelopes. We won't have to buy envelopes. They will also send an envelope in there that's a return envelope for our customers to use. They will also reach out, probably through mail insert, to our customers that want to sign up for, to receive their bills electronically. There's a whole lot of advantages to doing this. Gladstone is using this. They are very pleased with it. You still have the ability to, I don't want anyone to think that we're farming this out and we don't have the ability to reprint you a bill or make a correction, you know, if something goes wrong. We are still gonna calculate the bills, we're gonna process everything, we're just gonna send them the file and they're gonna do the mailing part of it.
Where are these being printed and mailed out of?
Their main office, I checked today, is in Anaheim, California. However, they have a Midwest office in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is right near Chicago. And that's where our bills will get mailed from.
Looking at this, I see this is just for the bill. This doesn't include the inserts. We've been
No,
putting an
the
insert in
inserts-
monthly.
the
There-
inserts-
I see it's a penny a piece if we print them, mail them to them.
Yeah, if we print our inserts and drop ship that to Downers Grove, then they will charge us a penny to insert it.
What if we send the file?
If we send a file and they print them themselves, then they charge us a dime per page.
So that would be an extra $220. If we sent them the file, an extra $22, plus printing, plus shipping costs if we...
We figured it would be cheaper still if we process them ourselves here and ship them than paying the dime.
By farming this out, Mary, how much do you think it would save in labor, hour-wise? Not, don't give me a dollar figure, I mean.
From the time, we spend a day, just about a full day printing them. Then she spends another day stuffing them with the stuffer. This company, I've got to talk to a different lady than the one that was there today, but the one lady does not see why we couldn't do the same thing with our taxes. And if that's the case, we would probably recommend getting rid of that stuffing machine. Possibly we could sell it. We've had it now for 7 years, 8 years?
Been a while now.
We've had it quite a while. And it was not a cheap piece of equipment, but I think we could eventually get rid of that. But it's gonna save some time.
And the printer cost.
And the printing cost.
Yeah, there's a lot
And
of
the
cost on it.
envelopes.
Yeah.
And because they're doing a bulk mailing, then the postage rate that they can get is cheaper than what we're getting.
Joe, wasn't this originally part of UPPI system at one time when we took over? That UPPI was looking to do all this
Yeah.
part of their program?
They, The members came to them and said, find me an alternative, because this is what we want to do. We don't want to do this stuff anymore. So they went out and they found partners, we'll call them partners, business partners, to do this stuff for them. And we get a reduction because we're a member of WPPI in the rates than what you would normally see. This InfoSend rates are rates that are already taken advantage of through WPPI, not if you went on our own and said, let's do it.
Yeah.
It'd be more expensive.
I realize that, you know.
Yep.
But it seems like all this, I'm not saying all of them, a lot of the original program, the overall picture that they presented us from day one to the stuff that's coming out here 10 years later, that actually, well, geez, you know, now that we look into it, you can do it cheaper, you could have somebody else do it cheaper. I see all the stuff that we thought were gonna be benefits in favor of us to do things cheaper, are all, well, yeah, they're gonna be cheaper, but you're gonna have to pay somebody else to do it. So I mean, the bottom line to me is, you know, are some of these deals, I see you don't quite understand where I'm coming from.
No, it was your statement that threw me off a little bit. And I think I want to take a stab at what I think I heard you say, that you thought WPPI was going to do this stuff?
This was all part of the
Themselves?
system that they were putting together for us.
Yeah. There are still many, many, many programs that WPPI offers.
No, I realize that.
At no cost.
I realize that. I said that.
Okay.
I said that. But I also said, now all of a sudden, all these offsprings, well, yeah, we can offer that, but it's cheaper for you to go and have somebody else do it over here. And where I'm assuming that these are all part of the original programs that were going to be within our fixed cost.
Oh, no. WPPI went out and secured,
No, I know where you're coming from.
Several
I
places.
know what you're
Okay.
coming from.
All right.
But my point, the big
you thought they
picture
wouldn't
that-
cost anything, they would
big
just do
picture
it.
that they sold us to start with, all of a sudden it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller here. The things that they're off, oh yeah, they're out there, but you gotta go and pay extra for them. That's my point in a short
Okay.
box here.
Personally, on this, as a course of doing business, I feel more comfortable if we took care of our bills in-house, we printed them in-house, handled them all in-house, kept them local, rather than having somebody down in Chicago, down by Chicago, printing them and sending them and doing that. Also keeping the data file local, not sending out our data files to somebody else. That just, as a course of doing business, I feel more comfortable about that.
If we outsource this, do we need to have that large copy machine still in the office? Can that be reduced and cut down our monthly costs on a maintenance rental on that?
Well, that's a networked copy machine, so we use it for scanning and
Correct, but you're paying a monthly maintenance on that.
we
on that
have to look
machine.
at the maintenance. We may not need to do the maintenance fee.
So we could save some money there.
Yeah, I probably would take a hard look at the maintenance on it. No, this past month, we've had them in quite a few times.
It's 6 years old.
Yeah, we've had them in quite a few times on the large capacity drawer. So I think it's a sheer number of copies that are going through it. You got close to 5,000 copies a month just between the bills and the stuffers and it's all happens within a week period, so that definitely would cut down on that cost.
I wish that I had a sample of the bill that is produced by this InfoSend to show you the professionalism of the bill. I'm kind of reaching here a little bit because I don't have it with me. I probably could dig it up in my office, but we're accustomed to seeing our bill, just a line item and a number and a line item and a number. If you've ever taken a look at a customer of We Energies and looked at their electric bill, and how it's got the bar graphs, last year at this time you use this much, this year, this month you use this much, that's kind of what our bills would look like. Extremely different from what we currently have. It's a lot more professional looking bill. I'm not sure that we could do that same style if we did it on our own. I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I don't know. We, with the North Star billing getting approved, there's gonna be a lady here in the office Wednesday, and she's going to actually put some of our accounts into the North Star system. So I will know Wednesday of what we can do on our own versus what we can do with InfoSend, but you are correct, the information on those bills. The other thing that InfoSend includes in this price is you have it's a customer portal. A customer can go online, they can, and it's up to us to determine how long we wanna give them back in history. We can do 12 months, we can do 24 months, but they can go back and, look at what their usage was last winter and last summer and everything else. They can do that on their own, it'll all be out there, and they'll have the ability.
They won't,
through
what you're saying is they won't need InfoSend to go online for getting information. It'll be gone through
Part
North
of InfoSend, this quote is as a customer portal.
Star. Will North Star, if we don't do InfoSend, will North Star have the customer portal?
Yes.
Yes, North Star will have it too. You have one either way. I just wish I had the bill to show you. It's extremely professional looking,
It's very similar to We Energies. It
very,
breaks
very
down.
similar to a We Energies bill. A lot more breakdown. And they can handle all of our services. They can
What-
put the garbage in the
Let's see,
cable.
would all of our codes be printed on there too?
Yes.
Because I know
Yes.
a lot of residents, they want to match the code.
Yes. And it'll have the breakdown of cost per kilowatt hour, which it doesn't have on it now. It'll have that on there.
It'll have your flat rate monthly fees.
Yeah.
Your price per kilowatt, where now you just get, electric, it'll have your usage, but you just get a dollar number. It's gonna have a lot more detail on it.
Well, I
You
don't
know,
think,
excuse me 1 minute or two.
Go ahead, George.
I certainly like to keep going forward on this stuff, but to me, okay, now it's gonna cost, extra $1,100 a month, to send this stuff out.
George,
What are we gaining here?
it costs us $1,000 plus now to send it out. When I look at it, it's a cost neutral. Because between the cost of the paper and the cost of the envelopes and the bills, it's, and the postage, it's a cost neutral issue.
So in other words, we're gaining office.
Yes,
For
gaining time in the office.
Yes,
What-
absolutely.
You're gonna have an overflow of office help in it pretty soon, right?
I'll let you know when that happens, okay?
That was gonna be my next question. What are you gonna do with all this extra help? But,
well, George, it says right here, the person would be able to work on other more important jobs in the future.
Like
But that was gonna be my question.
Like collection.
Dollar-wise, it's pretty much a wash, but
Yes,
that'll lighten your load up where you will be able to go on
And
and
collections
do other
need
things.
attention.
yes.
We all know that.
Deadbeats.
Yeah.
That is a correct.
Printing and sending the bills is very important, we need to get paid. But what it is the person that's printing and stuffing and sending, their use can be better served doing collection and some other things.
Yeah, any other questions?
Will there be any further savings if we get more of our accounts online, billing sent online?
Absolutely, because if you look at this estimate, it's based on 2,200 bills. So every time somebody signs up to get it electronically, that bill goes.
Yeah, they don't
This bill
send
from InfoSend, this is just an estimate. It's gonna be based on your actual numbers every month.
If half the people sign up for electronic billing,
You'll
the
see.
number's cut in half. Well, right now, we don't have that option, so.
Okay, any questions?
Are there any negatives to this?
would there be any,
I can't find any of that, so.
say for cutoffs and stuff, would this interfere in any way? Mary, say, people not paying bills, where, you wanna cut them off immediately, would this interfere in any way?
No, we will still send out shut-off notices from the office. We will still process them like we do and send them out. I do believe they would do them for us also. We could just do the same thing, but we did not talk about doing that, mainly because of the time frame. The due date comes, we apply penalties, we like to get them shut-off notices out immediately, just because of the time frame. They're already, the bill's already a month old by the time that happens. So I think, at this point in time, I think we'll keep doing that in-house, so it won't affect that at all.
Mary, would there be any kind of, did they say anything about like the fee to pay online? Is there, are they gonna have a separate fee to receive the bill online or to pay online?
They will, this company does not accept payments online. There's some other companies out there we're looking at. One is called Paymentus, one is Payment Service Network. There's like 3 or 4 different ones that have contacted us. And there's a fee, and we can either choose to pay that fee, or it can be passed on to our customers if they want to use it. I know Gladstone, the first year, they decided to pay the fee, the city did, to get the people to use it, and they're just gonna review it every year and see if it's worth keeping, that fee in their budget or spreading it to the customers. Once we get that, and like I said, we're looking at, there's 2 or 3 different ones, then I would recommend we get rid of the credit card machines at the window and save that money in those fees.
Any other questions? Comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that InfoSend Incorporated be approved to provide bill outsourcing services for the city of Norway.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah.
Okay, approval, Department of Public Works dump truck purchase, which is also plow truck purchase. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I am going to turn this over to Joe. I think he has done all of the groundwork on it, and you can go ahead and explain your report. And
Okay, just give me a second here. Okay, in my report to Mr. Anderson, you'll see that I have 4 options listed. UP Truck Center with Olson Equipment, UP Truck Center with Monroe Equipment, Schultz Equipment with the International Truck with Olson, and Schultz Equipment with Monroe. The lowest bid on here is the UP Truck Center with the Olson equipment package, which includes the underbody, the wing, front plow, all the mounting, the dump box, sander. I gave you a list of the bid specs that I sent out. And so the truck and the Olson equipment package together, total, everything put together, delivered to us at $193,396. That's low bid. If you look at the Schultz equipment package with Olson, because Olson was low bid on the equipment, on the plows and everything, it's $196,601. So there's basically $3,300 and some change difference between the two. So they're very close. I see no reason why we shouldn't accept the low bid.
So Rick was comfortable with the Olson package and
Yes.
with the Western Star over the International?
I spent a lot of time with Rick going over this, and he was the one that basically made the decision that the Western Star was what he wanted to go with on this particular unit with the Olson equipment package
Okay.
for $193,396.
Do we have any money budgeted for this?
Mary was working with the Norway Bank, and it's going to be a loan at 4.5% interest, I think?
3.9.
3.9? Okay.
We were originally gonna finance this with rural development, and the bank's rate and length of time was very similar to rural development. And half the paperwork to do it.
What truck is this basically replacing then, and whatever truck this is it worth anything?
The truck is worth scrap price. To get through this winter, we took the sander that's on it currently, took it off, and we took it down to Peterson's and welded the frame back up to try to get through this year. And we got through this year. That's what drove us to go for a new truck, because this one is shot. You're gonna get probably $400 or $500 for it at the scrapyard.
So our scraper with the cement block will still be running?
Yes, absolutely.
That was gonna be my next question.
No, that one's sticking around. That's in good shape. Now that we got the hole in the floor fixed.
Okay, any other questions? George, any? Okay,
Well, it's just nice that we could get it through the bank.
with that, I'm looking for a motion. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, purchase the UP Truck Center and Olson Equipment, a new dump plow truck for a price not to exceed $193,396.
Is there support?
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Last thing we have on the agenda this evening is the approval for refuse fund garbage truck purchase. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had a number of conversations over the past year about replacing our current garbage truck, and, you know, through our evaluations, you know, we also looked at the operations, you know, possible modifications to the operations. I know one of the areas that we talked about were these flippers that we had on the back. And during one of the meetings, we talked about it, and we said, look, at this point, we're not willing to change what we're doing in an operational standpoint. But who knows over the next 2, 3, 4 years. So let's plumb it with the hydraulics. In the report that I sent over the weekend, we unfortunately didn't have that number available, so we did add the total cost of the flippers without, you know, knowing that we weren't going to put them on. But what we didn't want to do was miss the cost of the hydraulics, which we know would be less, and then have to come back to you to increase the amount once we found out. Joe did find out today, though, from Loadmaster what that cost would be. So we have in front of you a total overall cost for the garbage truck of $139,345. That is roughly $15,945 more than the money we've been setting aside. And again, as we talked about, we've been putting $17,500 a year away, and we will have currently what, roughly $123,000. So we have in fund balance the 123,000 of it, and this 15,900 we were going to take out of fund equity, out of the general fund.
And on this one, we opted to go with the the prices are close. The cheapest one was $135,000, but we went with the $139 because it was a lower truck, easier for the operators to get in and out.
Correct. It's the International Schultz bid.
Yeah.
With the Loadmaster Packer is the one that we prefer.
Yeah.
And it's because of ease of entrance and exit for the operators, because they're in and out of it so much. I went and looked at the truck at UP Truck Center, and then compared it to the Internationals that we have already, and it was a lot more difficult for a garbage truck guy to get in and out, 20 times a day out of the Western Star. So that's why we decided we would go with the Schultz with the Loadmaster Packer.
Yep, I just wanted to make it so the public knew why
Yep.
we were going with the
They
higher
aren't
bid.
low bid. They are a little higher.
And how old is the old truck? What year was that? I know we've been saving money since 2009, but I think the truck's older than that.
7
A couple
years.
years older than that?
We started the same year we bought the truck.
7?
Oh, you did? Okay.
2007?
So
That's
I
when we bought the
see
truck.
then in budget hearing, we're gonna have to bump up
Yeah.
our 17.5 a little bit.
Yeah, when we bought the
Fully
truck,
cover it the next
we
time.
anticipated an amount, and they've gone up a little bit more than we anticipated.
So that's total put together, delivered to us, 139,345.
And I see the mechanic is all for this one also.
Yes, he is.
Are we gonna keep the old truck as our spare, or are we still gonna keep the old Kingsford one as the spare?
No, Terry Barnes is interested in looking at our old Kingsford one. I
think the
talked to him
colors
today
confuse
about it,
people.
and then we're going to keep our old one as a spare. That's the plan. Now, this This is gonna have the hydraulics on it for the tippers if you
Right.
wanna add them,
Right,
but no tippers. Okay,
yep.
okay, good.
Joe, how many inches difference did you say was in that cab in and out?
Probably 6 to 8 inches, it's substantial.
Could you get a figure on that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
It's quite a bit higher.
Well, I just.
I went and crawled up in it. and
So
couldn't-
I'm sure that there are people out there that want to know how much.
Yeah. I can do that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion that the purchase of the 2015 garbage truck be awarded to Schultz Equipment and Loadmaster for a price not to exceed $139,345.
I'll support.
What is this other one here then, Jeremy, for 196?
That was a mistake.
Yeah,
The
that's my
correct stuff
typo,
was on your
George.
table when you came in.
Okay.
They gave corrected paperwork.
Did you second
I
that?
supported it. Motion made by Chris, supported by myself.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
That's all we have on business. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on any topic? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Bruce Rodine, W4096 Lake Mary Drive, Vulcan. This is George for justification. If the public asks why that is more expensive, there's a $4,000 extended warranty on it also, on the motor.
Which one?
Packer truck.
The garbage truck.
60-month, 100,000-mile, full engine, EGR, turbo, water pump, all major components.
And that was the difference price?
That was about a $4,000 option. See, International came out with a brand new motor this year. Everybody's skeptical.
Okay.
New
I would,
Yeah. Rick was very,
knowing each other, Bruce, I would be skeptical.
Rick was,
So I mean,
Rick,
Why I threw that warranty in,
Yeah.
just because I knew something was gonna happen.
yeah, Rick was very leery about it, so, but the warranty calmed him down.
But I should have said that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else wish to address the council? Okay, Lee,
I have nothing to say.
Dr. Hayes.
I've got a couple of things. I'd like to congratulate the Norway wrestlers. Apparently they're mid-pen champs for the third year in a row. I think we should all be proud. It would even be nice to have a resolution. When I heard George object to us annexing that land into the city again, it reminded me that we have 40 acres on our boundary of vacant land on Boundary Line Road, which is used extensively by the police department. And I'd like to see us annex those 40 acres into the city as well. I don't know what the rest of the council thinks on that, but it's 40 acres of vacant land, and I think it should be annexed.
I agree, because that would let us police it, and our police already use it as a shooting range. So that would allow them to actually police it while they were there.
Another question that I had, reading over the minutes from the last meeting, I didn't get my packet until noon today, but I was able to read over the minutes from the last meeting. I noticed that Mr. Gottstein abstained from voting on the manifest, and I'd like to ask our lawyer, is that necessary? Is it, he apparently got some money through the payment of the city, but it's my understanding that at the county level, that nobody abstains on such an issue.
He just abstained from the GO-TEC bills on the manifest.
Okay, I thought he abstained from voting on the manifest.
No, he voted yes to the manifest, but abstained to the GO-TEC bills.
Okay.
That's my recollection as well, and that was proper to abstain from any payments to GO-TEC.
Okay. Because it's my understanding again at the county that individual members on the county board get money from the county and that they don't never abstain on it.
Perhaps something they should look at.
So you think that it is,
I would feel
Recommend.
very uncomfortable if I was voting to pay myself from public funds. So I usually, it's always take the high road. and always be cautious is always probably the best route to take. And I think it certainly
Well, that was just my
prevents some
question.
questions.
Okay. And then my fourth question, Sunday night I was out late and I noticed that our plow trucks are out removing snow drifts from the rural highways. There really wasn't enough snow elsewhere. And I just wondered why we never use snow fencing anymore. Do we spend more money putting up the snow fencing and taking it down than we do on plowing the snow? Is that the reason, or does anybody know?
We've never really evaluated it that way. But I mean, it can be evaluated
Seems like
that
it's
way.
been about 20 years since we used
Yeah,
snow fencing. and
I've
it's
never
only
been put up since I've been here, but, you know, that used to be a common practice, all over putting snow fence up.
Not that I care one way or the other, I
Yeah.
don't try to micromanage the way the city does business, but I was just wondering
Okay.
why, because there are, that I can see 4 or 5 places where we get drifts over the road during windy conditions. And
Correct.
There's no snow anywhere else in the roads except for these drifts. And is it worthwhile putting up the snow fencing or not? I don't know. I think they stopped putting it up because they bought such cheap crap that it only lasted a year, and so they didn't buy any more and didn't bother putting it up.
Okay.
That was my recollection.
I can ask the question to David, maybe he would know.
I would
Maybe he's never put them up, I don't know.
I would think, Joe, that, you know, you look 20, 30 years ago, they never had the equipment to
That you
remove
do
the
today.
drifts and stuff like they have now. I mean, now you got snow blowers that walk through a
Yeah.
8-foot, 12-foot drift. I mean, look what they do on these airports and up at Houghton.
Right, but then
How
we
they
wouldn't
blow
get the
snow.
drift if
I
the
mean,
snow
they never
fencing
had that
was there,
snow
perhaps.
years ago.
I'm just thinking that to drive all the poles in, wire it all up, and I'm only speculating, I don't really know.
It's
When you
something that my
evaluate
thought
those
is
man
maybe
hours-
more expensive.
Yeah, when you
Maybe
evaluate the
just
man
go out and
hours
Plow it
of-
a couple of times.
Yeah,
Because we maybe get too
you
strong.
maybe get 2 times you gotta plow it.
Well, I just was wondering.
Yeah, so I don't wanna speculate, Doc, but I'm gonna guess that that's probably
we've had
why it
to.
is.
That's the questions that I had.
I had some comments on plowing in the city, and just some people saying that they feel it hasn't been as good as it has been in past years. I think mostly to do with some of the snowstorms we've had where it got really cold and you got a pack, and then it would thaw out and you get this slush for a couple of days. It took a while to get back out and
Okay.
get on that, but I've heard some comments about the plowing. Personally, I've been okay, I think, with most of it, but I have noticed at times when we get that hard pack and it thaws that it seems to take us a little bit to get out there and get that scraped off, so,
So they wanna see the blacktop.
yes.
Joe, is that, have we decreased the amount of salt that we put in the mix?
No, no, we're going through about the same tonnage on average that, in a normal winter that we always go through. We didn't increase, we didn't decrease. Like Chris mentioned, when you get these snow events and it's warmer and it starts to melt on the ground, and then all of a sudden you get the big Arctic front that comes in and it drops 30 below zero. Yeah, it's gonna harden up and it's hard to get off. Takes a little while, but it eventually burns off.
You can't plow until night, so that's when it gets cold, so.
Yeah.
If the cars were on the street, we could probably plow during the day when it was mushy.
Well, and it was wet, they pack it down driving during the night on the roads, and there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we do the best we can.
And I just wanted to give my compliments on the ice rink again this year. I think it's a wonderful resource that we provide to the community. I use it, my daughter and I use it, and thank the staff that helps out up there. It's just another great resource for the city. That's all.
Josh? The only question I had, I was approached that Redline Sports and Marine had approached the city a number of months back about wanting to purchase some property. Have we evaluated that yet and come up to some decision for them? So they're just looking for a decision at this point. They haven't heard anything back yet.
I'll check on their proposal. I think I did talk to him and
Okay.
didn't think that they proposal was, you know, I thought we're different of opinion.
Okay.
I guess, but, I'll get with Jared and we'll.
Yeah, even if it's something that we're gonna reject, just, I think they're looking, they feel they haven't been given an answer either way.
Yeah, I've talked to him a number of times.
Okay, I just wanted to, I was asked to bring that up. Other than that, I don't have any other questions or comments. Joe?
I don't have anything further unless there's some specific questions about anything I'm working on.
How about the hydro?
It's going well. Everything's been dismantled. We have run one runner that was delivered this morning back to us. The cracks were welded up on it, and we're putting that back in.
Has anybody figured yet as to why?
No, that's still in the air, and we're working with several different people to try to come up with a reason as to why. We're not going to know why for a while. It's going to take a while because there's some very specific analyses that need to be done to try to figure that out. You got to model your turbine and put that in a computer. You got to model the draft chest. You got to model the draft tube. You got to look at what the effects the water impacts on that draft tube have on the runner. And so we are looking at that, but we don't have an answer yet. It was extremely important to try to get this unit back in place by spring runoff. And it looks like we're gonna accomplish that with at least 3 of the runners. The end runner was so bad that 9 out of the 15 blades on the runner were gone, totally busted off. So that's almost like building a brand new runner. I don't believe that we're going to be able to get that end one in time for spring runoff, but we will run the unit with 3.
What type of efficiency do you lose with 3 versus 4?
You don't lose.
Can't be much.
You don't lose efficiency. You're still the efficiency is still built into the other 3 turbines that it was before. What you're gonna lose is some kilowatt hour output. Probably about 400 or 500 kilowatts is what I would expect to lose out of not having that end runner, which is a little bit, but that unit put about 2.5 megawatts to 2.7 megs out. Without the end runner, I'm expecting to see in that 2, maybe a little above, a little over 2.
About a 20% drop.
Yeah, about a 20% drop. We're moving along, so.
Were they reinforced at all, or just the cracks
Yes.
were?
We had a metallurgist from Green Bay come up and take a look at them. And he made some suggestions on where to add some metal in the crack area to reinforce that. And he gave a welding procedure on how to do it. And then they certified the welders to do that process. So that's all been done already.
It's been inspected then?
Yes. Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, that's pretty much my life right at the moment.
Mary? Trish? Brett?
Back November, December, when the auditor was here, and some of the things that he suggested, Jeremy, were non-payments and shut-offs and stuff, and I had a question that this is a common occurrence, it's been happening for years and years, and you had made a statement that yous were well aware of this and yous were addressing this problem at the time. I'm just wondering, has anything been done on that? Where are we standing on it? Because I kind of thought it was a problem that should have been continuously addressed and never was. And something should have been done, and so I was glad to hear that the process was being addressed, but I'd like to know where we're standing.
On the back collections and that, Mary?
We still haven't-
Outstanding credit to
We have to
collections.
finalize that policy with the landlords and the leaning of the taxes. We haven't finalized.
Working with Grant right now.
Could we get a deadline on some of this stuff that
Grant?
And
I guess, are we talking,
First-
George, hang on, are we talking about collection work, going after past due collections? Are we talking about putting liens on property, or are we talking
the
about?
whole ball of wax, basically,
All right.
the whole ball of wax. Mainly it was.
Yeah, well-
The amount of people that owed us bills that we weren't collecting.
What we actually,
Partly our fault, collection agencies, everybody's fault.
what we actually talked about
Nothing was
was,
ever done, honestly.
was having the council approve the policy procedure for leaning, basically leaning those 6-month delinquent utility bill. And Grant and I have been working on, and I've asked Grant to just completely vet some of the legal opinions that we've had over the last, that I've collected over the last year from from the Michigan Municipal Electric Association, actually. And I'm sure we're good, close to that, where we can put that policy out.
Whenever you talk about putting liens on people's property, it's very, you better make sure you do it right. And
Basically, Grant, are we making ground on this?
Yes.
Where are we headed? Or are we just standing here and we shoved it underneath the curtain again and said, well, we're forget it for, like we do every other year? My point is, are we on top of this thing? Are we headed in the right direction? Are we gonna correct it? Before it comes up for audit next year, we got the same situations in front of us again, and
short answer, yes. It's one of the 3 or 4 projects Ray and I are actively working on, amongst a number of other issues that come up on a regular basis. But
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we've been talking about. It's one of our 4 topics.
And really and truthfully, from now on, anytime I'm gonna ask for anything, I'm gonna look for a deadline. Whether it be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, I don't care. I want a deadline put on stuff so I can expect an answer.
But what if we can't give it to you? I mean,
Well,
sometimes we don't know how long it takes to get this
I
stuff
would
through.
expect one, Ray, and I would expect to try to meet our goals. That's all I'm asking.
Right.
But when we ask questions, yeah, we're working on it, it's open. I mean, it's just open
Well,
to everybody,
just-
and it's never done and never taken care of anymore.
Just,
And that's what's frustrating to me more than anything.
just hopefully to ease your mind, I mean, we aren't brushing anything under the rug. And,
Well,
just since Grant's come on, how many different projects, so to speak, have you and I been working on? I mean, we've been working on quite a few. And, as far as this billing process, our procedure, the only thing that's missing in the procedure is the leaning of the taxes. That's the only part. All the other part of the procedure is status quo. I mean, we have a good procedure. It's just the leaning of the taxes. And that's what we have to make sure we're on solid ground.
Ray, I realize that. I mean, and I'm not here pointing fingers at nobody. I'm not saying it's your fault, it's Mary's fault, it's Tricia's fault. It's all of our fault.
Right.
Because we keep working on it, but we never finish the problem. We never get to resolve it. And like I said, I've been on this council for maybe 14 years, and it's there every year on the audit report, it's #1 situation, it's right there. And it's never addressed. And it's never finished, and it's never solved. So, I mean, that is, I just happened to think of it, and I said, damn it, I'm gonna find out what's going on here. What it again, where are we sitting here? Is this another thing that's gonna be #1 priority for next year again and we know it ain't gonna get done again next year, so that's where I'm coming from, that's all.
Okay. We'll bring you a procedure within the next 2 meetings. And the
Fine.
council's gonna need to
That would be
approve that
great.
procedure. Because this is the same, I get the same feeling that we had with some of the other ordinances that we brought forward. And when we brought them forward, there was a lot of dissension as to why is this being pushed? And so we'll bring it forward. We'll let you guys, vet that. And really what it comes down to is council approved, we're gonna lien the properties, period.
So your
And that's-
timeline, your deadline is a month.
Fine,
So
that's great.
That sounds like the deadline you've been given.
It's just great. I expect to hear something, either yes or no, or
We'll have-
we're
you'll have
still
it.
working on it.
You'll have it.
It's all I care, it's on top of the priority list.
Grant, you got anything on that?
No.
Okay, Ray?
The only thing is on the ice rink, we appreciate the compliment. I know it gets used a lot. Unfortunately, right now, we are understaffed. We had one of our attendants will not be able to complete the year. And so we need to look for some additional ice rink attendants to help Mr. Perkins out. In fact, he's sick right now, so the last couple of days we've had to close it down. You know, we didn't have anybody to open it up. So we are looking for anybody who's might want to spend some hours down at the ice rink to be a tenant. So.
Okay. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.